The story begins in a sprawling mansion on the outskirts of the city, a place where luxury wasn't just a lifestyle but a language spoken by every brick, every piece of art, every shimmering chandelier that hung from the 12-foot ceilings. Inside lived a millionaire named Adrian Cole, a man whose fortune was known by many but whose heart was understood by very few. Adrian had built his empire from scratch. People respected him, envied him, adored him, and feared him all at once. But over time, as wealth kept increasing, something else inside him began to fade: trust. He trusted his lawyers with his money, his advisors with his strategies, his security teams with his safety, yet he struggled to trust people with their intentions. He often wondered whether kindness towards him was genuine or just a mask worn by those who wanted a piece of what he owned. His doubts had hardened into a habit, and even the people closest to him began to feel the weight of that skepticism. In this mansion lived a maid named Rosa. She wasn't young anymore, but she carried herself with quiet dignity. She had been working for Adrian's family for nearly 12 years, long before he became the multimillionaire he was now. She was there when his business took off, when fame poured in, when tragedies struck, and when celebrations filled the halls with laughter. She knew the family story almost better than they did. She had seen Adrian's mother fall ill, she had known the gentle softness of his father, and she had watched Adrian transform from a humble, young businessman into someone whose days revolved more around deals than people. Rosa never asked for anything. She did her job tirelessly, arriving early, leaving late, and never once complaining. Not even on days when her knees ached or her hands trembled from fatigue. She treated the mansion like her own home, and sometimes, when no one was watching, she treated Adrian like the son she never had. But Adrian never noticed. Or perhaps he did, but he wasn't ready to accept anything that resembled care. One evening, while sitting alone in his massive study and oak-paneled room, lined with leather-bound books that he rarely read anymore, Adrian found himself lost in thoughts that stung more than comforted. He had recently discovered that a business associate he trusted had been stealing from him. The betrayal was so sharp it replayed in his mind over and over, making him question everyone else around him. If someone he valued could do that, then what about the people he barely paid attention to? His thoughts drifted to Rosa. She had been around for so long, always quiet, always honest, or so he believed. But how could he be sure? Had she ever taken anything? Had she ever lied? Had she ever looked into the wealth lying scattered around the mansion and felt temptation? He hated that these thoughts even existed in his mind, yet they clung to him like shadows he couldn't shake. And then suddenly he decided something impulsive, something he later admitted he regretted, and yet was grateful for. He would test her. He would find out once and for all whether loyalty could survive temptation or whether every person had a breaking point. The plan formed in his mind quickly. His personal safe, a heavy steel vault tucked away in his private office, was where he kept his emergency cash, expensive watches and small pieces of jewelry. Normally it was locked tight, the passcode known only to him. But tonight he would leave it open, completely open. Filled to the brim, he spent the next few minutes pulling out stacks of money neatly arranged bundles that could change a person's life. Gold watches, diamond-studded bracelets, a few rare coins he had collected in his travels. He placed them carefully inside. When he stepped back, the safe looked like a glittering treasure chest. Anyone who saw it would instantly know its worth, but that wasn't all. Adrian positioned a hidden camera in a way that captured the room clearly. Then he closed the curtains, dimmed the lights, and slipped into a corner room adjacent to his office. From there, through a small gap in the wall paneling, he could observe the office without being seen. A part of him felt guilty, a part of him felt foolish. But mostly he felt a strange anxiety twisting inside his chest. Minutes passed. Then half an hour. Then an hour. He began to wonder if Rosa would even enter the office that evening. But finally, just as his legs began to ache from standing too long, he heard soft footsteps approaching. The office door creaked slightly as Rosa walked in. Her hair was tied back in a bun, a few strands falling loose. Her apron was slightly wrinkled from a long day, and she carried her cleaning cloths the way she always did, with calm familiarity. She didn't seem tired, though her day had surely been exhausting. She seemed simply prepared, ready to do what? She always did, take care of a home that wasn't hers but had become part of her life. She moved around the room quietly, dusting the shelves, wiping the edges of the desk, straightening a few books left out of place. And then, as she turned toward the corner, her eyes fell upon the safe. She froze. Adrian felt his heartbeat quicken. This was the moment he had been waiting for, the test. The truth, the revelation. Rosa stepped closer to the safe. Her eyes widened slightly, not in greed, but in surprise. Her brows drew together in confusion. She leaned forward, studying the open vault, the stacks of cash, the sparkling jewelry. She looked around the room as if expecting someone to be there. Then she whispered something too soft for Adrian to hear. She reached out slowly, not toward the money, not toward the jewelry, but toward the safe door. For a moment she touched the metal lightly, almost as if checking whether it was real or some kind of trick. Then she stepped back. Her shoulders rose and fell in a slow breath. She could have taken anything. No one was around. No one would know. No camera was visible. No alarms would have sounded, but instead something remarkable happened. She walked out of the office. Not with anything in her hands, but with urgency in her steps. Adrian felt confusion prick through his chest. Had she simply walked away? Was she going to return later? Was she planning something? His mind raced. But Rosa didn't go to her room. She didn't go to the kitchen. She didn't go anywhere except straight toward the main hallway, where Adrian's voice assistant intercom was mounted on the wall. She pressed the button gently. "Sir," she said, her voice trembling with genuine worry, "I don't want to disturb you, but you need to know this immediately. You're safe. It's open, completely open. I don't know if it was an accident or if someone tried to break in, but please come check it. It isn't safe to leave it like that." Adrian felt the world freeze around him. She had gone to warn him. Not steal, not hesitate, not take even a single glance more than necessary. Her first thought had been his safety, his belongings, his trust. Her first instinct had been protection, not opportunity. He emerged from his hiding place slowly, feeling strangely numb. When Rosa saw him, she looked startled. She quickly stepped aside, worry clouding her expression. "Sir, I'm sorry if I bothered you. I just didn't want anything to go missing. You work so hard. And losing something because I didn't speak up would feel wrong." Adrian didn't answer right away. His throat felt tight. He walked past her into the office and saw the safe exactly as he had left it, untouched, unmoved, unviolated. He turned to Rosa. She looked nervous, unsure why he was staring at her with such intensity. "Rosa," he said softly, "you didn't touch anything?" Her eyes widened. "Touch anything? Sir, of course not. Why would I?" She paused, then added quietly, "You trust me to take care of this home. I would never break that trust." It was the simplest statement, but it shattered something inside Adrian, something heavy, something bitter, something he didn't realize had been weighing him down for years. He felt his eyes burn unexpectedly. Rosa didn't notice at first. She continued speaking, explaining how she found the safe open, how she assumed someone else might have accidentally forgotten to close it, how she wanted to make sure nothing was stolen. She apologized again and again as if she had done something wrong. Adrian interrupted her gently. "Rosa, the safe was left open on purpose." She blinked in confusion. "On purpose? But why?" He took a breath, a deep, shaky one. "To test you." The words hung in the air like a confession heavier than guilt itself. Rosa stepped back, shock flickering through her eyes. "Test me? You think I would steal from you after all these years?" Her voice didn't hold anger, it held hurt. And that hurt pierced through Adrian like a blade. "I thought I needed proof," he whispered. "I thought trust needed to be tested. But you didn't even hesitate?" Silence wrapped around them. Then slowly, Rosa lowered her gaze. "Sir, I don't know much about money. I've never had a lot of it. But I know one thing: stealing destroys people. I've seen families break apart because of it. I've seen lives ruined, and I could never bring that into this home, not yours. Not anyone's." Her words echoed through Adrian's chest. For the first time in years, he felt something he had almost forgotten. Gratitude. Real, painful, overwhelming gratitude. His voice cracked when he finally spoke. Rosa, I am so sorry. She looked up. Her eyes softened. Sir, you don't need to apologize. Life teaches us to be careful, I understand. But Adrian shook his head. No, I doubted the only person who has stood by my family longer than anyone else. I doubted someone who has cared for this house more than I ever have. And then, despite himself, a tear slipped from his eye. Rosa's expression changed not to pride, not to triumph, but to gentle concern. She stepped forward and placed a comforting hand on his arm. You've